Issei is gifted with the power of a RPG player. Now he must discover what powers he possesses as well as come to terms with the tragedy of the past while dealing with the antics of two dragons sealed within him. 1. The incident in. Heya everyone. Pleasure to meet ya. This is a retry on my story since it got corrupted and broke. Don't ask me how, I have no idea. But it gave me a chance to add more to it, give it some more detail and such, ya know. Anyway. Y'all came here to read. Listen to a story about a boy who will grow strong and you're gonna get it. Now let's get started with our prologue again, shall we? Diedrich, Boost. Albion, Divide. Constellation Dragon. Constellation RPG, Talking, Thinking, Chapter 0.1, A Dragon God's Gift. In the middle of Japan, in a small city of Ko, there lived a 7-year-old boy who would grow up to become the Red Dragon Emperor. But this isn't about him. Not yet anyway. For far off into space, aiming the endless shining stars, a giant, black dragon with very unique wings with membrane that look like you're staring off into the cosmos floats while holding a dying star in the palms of its claws. It has a small smile on its face as it then chuckles, looking at the star expectantly, as if it's holding a child, waiting for it to do something extraordinary. It then speaks. My dear young Drake, you have been up here at home for some long since your last visit. I believe that it is time for you to return to the world of the living as a hatchling once again. Oh, I see you becoming powerful and proud indeed. It says with a warm smile on its face as it then breathes life into the dying star as it then closes one hand over the other, covering the star entirely before a small cry can be heard, and as it opens its claws once more a small, transparent dragon flies off into the direction of a small planet called Earth, where it will live its next life cycle as a hatchling. The Titanus-sized dragon looks a bit sad seeing the young one go. But it then sighs and looks off into the direction of Earth as well, thinking of something it hasn't thought of in a while. Now that I think of it, young Diedrich and Albion haven't returned from their cycles yet. Perhaps they're still fighting one another again. How annoying, those two are brothers, they should be fighting so viciously towards each other every single time they meet via. What was it that the Christian God called them before he passed on to the next plane? Sacred gears? It thought a moment, remembering all the times the two brothers have fought one another, remembering that Albion normally wins, but it's mainly because that his host normally would cheat and bring people outside of the battle into the mix, which the dragons, Albion, Diedrich, and even the constellation dragon found annoying and dishonorable. Then, the dragon came up with an idea. To help even the playing field a bit, and also doubling it off as the last time the two will duel in this cycle. It then pulls off a scale that was on its side, and breathed fire onto it before making something fascinating, a sacred gear of its own design in the shape of one of its arms, a gauntlet like the one Diedrich is trapped in. Only it's similar to the twice seashell stage, difference being its color, which is black and purple instead of gold and red. The claws are already out yet not as sharp as it could be, and the gem in the center of it is like looking into the night starry sky. It's rather beautiful yet simple. That should do the trick. It's rather simple design, but this is its first life. I am sure in time you will grow further and further. Now for the finishing touch, to make a friend for young Diedrich in case his new host is not worthy of conversation. It says before closing its claws once again over the gear, and breathed life into it. And a young, newly formed soul is born into the gear. A yawn can be heard as the elder dragon tilts its head, curious as to what kind of little hatchling may become of its actions. After a few moments, a yawn can be heard, sounding so small, yet filled with power as all dragons do when they come into existence. So much potential. The elder being looking down with a smile on its face as it hears a voice. Hello? Is there someone out there? What is this place? The small voice sounds nervous, with a slight feminine voice at that as well. The elder of the two, seeing that this freshly born child is nervous, decides to speak in a soothing tone as to not scare her more by talking with power behind its voice. It is all right, young one, for you are not among any sort of enemy. In actuality, you are before your creator. It is lovely to meet you, my child. The voice of the newly born dragon calms down after a few moments, and proceeds to ask another question. One that is quite understandable to ask. Who are you then? What is this place? She asks as she looks around in the sacred gear she was placed in. Obviously a bit confused as to her surroundings, as well as who this stranger is. The elder dragon then speaks, tilting its head to the side as it does so. Worry not, young hatchling, for I am the one who created both the space you find yourself in, as well as yourself. I am your creator, the constellation dragon god. The newly born dragon then stops talking, taking a bit to digest the information she just received. Tilting her head to the side in the inner space of the sacred gear. Seeing small, cool flames licking the ground. Then looking up into the sky, and seeing hundreds of stars. It looks rather beautiful. But she doesn't see where this constellation dragon god is. So she asks another question. Are you my papa? This causes the elder dragon to laugh as it shakes its head in slight bewilderment and surprise before speaking proudly but in a playful manner. I am known by many titles and monikers, but sure. You may call me your papa. As for your title, what do you believe your name is? If you are unsure, then look inside your very soul and find it. After a few seconds of thinking inside of the new sacred gear, the hatchling speaks with an annoyed voice. The elder of the two can both hear and sense the pout on this young lady's face. HRRRMM, I can't find it. I want to know what my name is, papa. Can't you look inside and find it for me? The elder, having sensed her annoyance, sighs and shakes its head solemnly. Not wanting to break tradition of how dragons earn their names. Instead deciding to tell her about what its plan for her is. Surely being about to meet another dragon and be a companion for him will be fun for her, and possibly annoy, brighten Diedrig's mood that was diminishing over the centuries. Well, hopefully anyway. I am afraid not, young hatchling. It is not my place to do such a thing for you. You have to find your name on your own. But I do have something I need you to do for me if you're willing to help your creator out with a bit of a plan to help cheer up and release a fellow dragon from a prison. That is, if you wish to be of assistance to me, I shall greatly appreciate it and grant you your own body once this is done. How does that sound? The unnamed dragoness gasps in surprise and excitement over the idea of meeting a new friend. A possible sibling maybe if she's lucky in how she approaches him. As well as the prospect of getting her own vessel to call her own and experience the worlds on her own volition and destined journey. She then speaks excitedly like a child about to get a new toy. Yes, 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 yes. I'll help you out, papa. WHO, are we busting out of prison? We gotta be all stealthy and stuff, or what? Well, that wasn't expected. But after a few seconds the elder laughs loudly in endearment and joy over the energy of this young lady. Surely she will be a fine and strong dragon in the future, this much is certain at the very least. Hee ha 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 ha. You certainly fit and ready to help your creator out, that sincerely, eh? I like that, you're gonna be going places, young dragoness. But no, we won't be sneaking into anything, that much I can assure you. No, you will be working as a test for the host of the one I wish to release from his prison. I wish to see if this human is worthy of young Diedrig. This causes the dragon to pause after speaking, thinking of something for a moment, and thus looks at the gear directly before speaking once more. Now that I think of it, you should be earned as well if he wants the assistance of both you and Diedrig. To this end you will be put to sleep until the boy is sufficiently strong enough and wise enough to not use you and take your words for granted. A nod and chipper sound can be heard in agreement inside the gear, which prompts the elder dragon to slowly yet surely put the child to sleep for however long it takes for the boy to awaken her. It sighs in minor sadness of having to send a child away before giving them a body, but this needs to be done no matter how painful it may be. It then looks over at a vacant star and tilts its head to the side as it runs a claw over it, causing the star to show an image appear. The dragon then nods as it then wonders. Now that I think of it, I wonder what this boy is doing now. Surely he can handle the power of two dragons. Hopefully. Scene break. Hodo residence. It's the middle of the afternoon at the Hodo household on a day that is ending on a bit of a somber and downcasted tone. Irina Shido, also known as Rin by her best friend of the 6-year-old only child Issei Hodo, has moved away about 3 days ago to England with her parents. This however did not sit well with the young boy, as he has now lost his best friend, is sulking in his bedroom in the corner holding a necklace that Irina had given him to remember her by. His cheeks, lightly stained from tears and his eyes lightly puffy and red, it's clear that he's been crying here for a little while. Maybe an hour at the least. His mother, Miki Hodo, takes notice of this after coming upstairs to check on him, decides to console her distraught son as she slowly opens the door, entering the boy's room. Issei dear? Is everything alright? They've been up here for a while now. Your father and I are getting rather worried about you. You barely come out of your room or even eat your food. She asks as she reaches where her son is, placing a hand on his shoulder after getting on her knees so she can talk to him more comfortably. Issei sniffs before waveringly speaks, clear sadness heard in his tone. I miss Rin. When do you think he's going to come back? I want to play tag and have a sleepover with him again. He asks with a bit of a soreness in his throat after just finishing another crying session. His body flinching by the touch of his mother, but he soon relaxes and leans into the hand and warmth that she's giving off, seemingly becoming comfortable in the gesture. His mother sighs and then pulls him into a warm embrace, holding him close in her bosom as she speaks. I know you miss your friend dear, but you'll see Rin again. He didn't say goodbye after all, did he? She looks down at her son who shook his head from side to side to say no. His mother smiles before saying, hey, then it's not a goodbye then. But I'll see you again. You two will meet again one day. It's gonna have to take some time is all. Nothing to worry about, sweetie. This causes Issei to wipe away the tears in his eyes as he then looks up at his mother, a gleam of youthful hope in his eyes. You really think so, Mama? Do you know when we will meet again? This gives his mother pause for thought, as she makes a face that relays what she really feels before answering honestly to her fragile son. I'm sorry, Issei sweetie. I don't hold all the answers that you may think I do. All I can do is simply guide you the best I can alongside your pervert of a father. She chuckles that part along with her son, then continues. I know this may not be what you want to hear, but I know without a shadow of doubt that you two will meet again one day, and that is something that not even fate can stop from happening. She finishes as Issei wipes the tears from his eyes with a sniffle here and there before looking back up at his mother again with some hope and shine returning to his eyes. He then speaks. Okay, Mama. I trust you. If you think we're gonna see each other again, then I want to knock his socks off by showing him that I became the hero we dreamt of becoming. He finishes in excitement as he pumps his arm into THR air, almost hitting Mickey in the process before she dodges at the last moment with an eep. That's the way, sweetie. Show Rin that you can become whatever you set your mind to, she says with excitement after seeing some of the fire returning to her son's eyes. She then remembers that dinner was ready, and was likely getting cold downstairs. Now come along, Issei. You can't become a hero on an empty stomach. You need your strength after all. She speaks as she then stands up, helping her son do the same before he speaks. Okay, Mama. Let's go, he says as he sprints off out of the room and down the hall, almost falling down the stairs before his father catches him with a laugh. This is then followed by the family sitting down and having dinner for that evening. While she steps towards the door to her son's room, she feels as if someone is watching her through the window. Turning towards it to find nothing there, she shrugs and goes downstairs to join her family. She then spots her husband laughing and ruffling Issei's hair lightly, to which she finds adorable, before starting to set the table for dinner. Scene break. Among the stars. Well, I wasn't expecting much from the boy, but to find him a crying mess doesn't exactly fill me with confidence on letting him be either Diedrich or this young one's host. The ancient dragon god pondered as he looks through the star he was using to check up on the boy to see what he is like. He's not exactly thrilled to see what he's looking at. However, he does like that the boy cares more about those around him than towards himself, as well as having the determination to see something through. Hopefully that will take him far and see him grow strong enough to face any threat that comes his way. It was only a question of time and patience of the boy. Well, it matters not. I've waited for thousands of years for the opportunity to free Diedrich and Albion from their strange soul-binding prisons. What's a few more to me? The dragon looks back down at the star, it currently viewing the boy from the outside perspective, and notices something flying in the air above the home of humans. It raises an eye in curiosity and slight interest. Well, hello there. What are you two doing here? For your own sakes, I hope it's not to harm the boy I have my eye on. Guess I'll have to send the youngling to him sooner than expected. Shame, but I cannot say it's unexpected considering mortals tend to go after the vessels of both Diedrich and Albion. It only makes sense for them to be there. I suppose I can only hope they're not here with malice intent. It says as it looks down at the gear in its palm, and blows into it as an aura shines around it, causing it to float off into the air. The god sighs. I apologize, hatchling. It appears that you may have to do your duty sooner than expected. But perhaps it is a good thing. You will wake up sooner and be able to help him and Diedrich grow and learn from being a weak and meek being to the strongest mortal that world will ever see. It says as it then snaps its fingers and it goes off on its way in a blink of an eye and a flash of light. Off to fulfill its purpose and to help the boy however she can. Scene break. The skies above Kuo. How long are we going to wait on this? However long it takes for the higher-ups to give us the order to proceed. Now pipe down. Your voice is annoying me. Well, excuse me, Romulus. It's not my fault that those fuckheads called me in to do this job on my day off. Here we have two mid-tier low-class devils in the middle of a mission above the city of Kuo. More specifically over the neighborhood that holds the residence of the Hodo family. The older of the two, promptly named Romulus, is reading a book while waiting on orders to advance with the mission. All while the other, slightly younger devil named Prologue groans on and bitches about having to work on his off day, much to Romulus's annoyance. Eventually Prologue asks the question of the hour. "The fuck are we doing here anyway, man? Isn't the target just some damn kid? What are we, child murders now? That's kinda fucked up, dude." This catches Romulus's attention as he looks up from his novel and to partner in crime. "You mean you weren't told? Apparently this human has a powerful sacred gear in him. The higher-ups think it's a Longinus class and wanna nip the kid before he has time to bloom into a true monster." "Seriously? That little perverted brat has a Longinus? I call bullshit on that. There's no way in hell that kid has something that's scary on him." Prologue exclaims in surprise and slight alarm from the news of who his target is, finding it hard to believe from what he has seen of the boy, but also being a bit wary of the idea of dealing with something like that as well. "Either way we have to take care of it. I am thinking silently kill them, go in, slit their throats, get out. It's quick, easy and to the point." Romulus says as he scratches his chin in though on how to proceed with the mission before something comes to mind. "Say you wouldn't happen to still have that spear that you got when you were promoted last year, do you?" he asks as he looks over to Prologue with a curious gaze. Seemingly having an idea, which Prologue catches onto. "Yeah, I still got it. Keep that thing in my personal storage space at all times except on special occasions." He thinks a moment before continuing. "I suppose killing a Longinus user would be a pretty big occasion. Gives me the chance to have some bragging rights too," he says, making a point to himself that solidified what he wants to do now, and smiles at Romulus. "All right, I'm in on this." "Good. I'm glad we finally agree on something for once. Now we just nay." Suddenly a communication circle appears next to Romulus's ear. "Sir?" "Yes sir." "Yes sir. The whole family. Do you wish for it to be loud or quiet?" "Yes sir, right away sir." The commission circle dissipates from his ear and he gurns to Prologue. "That was the captain. We have permission to proceed with the operation. He wants it done quietly as to not arouse suspicion from the devils running the town. Get your spear ready, we're going in now." Then as both Romulus and Prologue fly down a thought occurs to Prologue. "Say you don't think I could fuck the woman in there, do you, before we kill her? She's pretty attractive for a human mother." Romulus gives him a disgusted look, and promptly slaps him upside the head a bit harder than needed, causing Prologue to fall down several meters, getting uncomfortably close to the backyard of the Hodo house before giving a growl out before speaking. "Are you nuts? Don't you have any shame? That's a human, you'd effectively be fucking an animal like a dog or something. Have some higher standards than that." Prologue lands on the grass while rubbing his head, it's starting to swell as he does and he sighs in annoyance of being hit. "Ow. Alright, I'll stick my dick in one of the whores we got back on base. You didn't have to hit me so fucking hard. Think you cracked my skull a bit." He whined as he rubbed his head as he stands up and faces the back door of the house. "So, we're really doing this? Alright, let's get it over with. I wanna be done and go home." He then points his spear at the lock and a magic circle appears over it as Romulus lands. Not aware that by entering this door, they have sealed their fate of becoming the hunted, instead the hunters. Scene break. Issei's room, and the prince finally slain the dark wizard and saved not only the princess, but the whole kingdom as well. "The end," says Miki Hodo as she closes the book after reading the last page to her son before putting him to bed. Said boy is smiling widely while he holds back a yawn, his chocolate brown eyes shining in wonder over the new book his dad had bought him on his way home from work a few hours ago. He looks absolutely adorable as he asks, "Mama, do you think magic is real like in the stories?" This causes his mother to smile, happy to see her son coming back to his old self. She pulls him softly into a warm embrace and kisses his forehead, satisfied with how this day has ended, and moves to look at Issei. "Oh my dear boy. Anything can become real if you wish for it and work at it hard enough. You just have to give it your all," she says with a comforting and motherly smile on her face. She then moves to get up and stand before a crash can be heard downstairs along with some grunts abit a cry in pain from her husband. This scares her a little and starts look at Issei in slight fear, trying her best not to show it. "Mama, what was that noise? Did Dad stub his toe again?" Issei asks in innocence as he sits up in his bed and shakes in slight nervousness when he sees the look on his mother's face. She tries to sound confident and play it off. "Oh, he probably tripped and hit his side in the kitchen." Let me go downstairs and check on him, she says as she goes to the door and slowly opens it, trying her best to be quiet while doing so. And after getting outside the door to where she can look down the stairs, she gasps when she sees a pool of blood leaking from the kitchen door along with a hand with a wedding band on it laying inside it. Her husband has been murdered. She gasps as she closes the door rather quickly after going back into her son's room and locks the door in a bit of a panic. She can't hide this kind of fear. While she hears voices come up the stairs, she scoops up her son and brings him over to the closet. Opening it and hurriedly opens a secret little space that was under the floor of the closet and places Issei inside it. Oh okay sweetie, you're gonna have to be brave for me, and hide here and not make a sound, okay? Don't come out until you're absolutely sure that everything is alright, she says in a hurried hushed tone as she looks at her son. Mama, what's going on? Where is Dad? Is he okay? Miki looks at her son one last time, seeing the worry and fear in his eyes as she then sighs, smiles, and gives him a soft kiss on the forehead before whispering to him, I love you Issei, we both do. Stay safe for your father and I, okay? She gets a paused nod from him before she closes the compartment and then the closet, hiding her son away from the world as she then stands up and backs away a few feet. Right when she does this, however, the door bursts open in splinters right off its hinges, causing Miki to scream as she picks up a baseball bat that belongs to her son and wields it, ready to strike at whoever enters the room. Well, look at this Romulus. The little human woman thinks she stands a chance at all against us with her little piece of wood. How cute. Prologue chuckles as he enters the room with spear in hand. Romulus on the other hand doesn't look to be in the mood for playing with his targets, smacks his partner upside the head while he shakes his own. Yes, very amusing Prologue. Now then. Where's the boy? We know you have a son and we were tasked to kill all of you. So please be a dear and tell me so we can make this painless. We know he's somewhere around here. This causes Miki to freeze, before gnashing her teeth together in rage over the fact that these things were tasked to eliminate her family, including her baby boy who just got separated from his best friend. She raises the chunk of wood in her hand and growls out in an angry tone, all while her hands are shaking in terror. Why, you will not be touching my son tonight. She then charges at the devils and narrowly dodges a casual thrust of Prologue's spear, getting a deep cut on her side but otherwise fine, and strikes him across the face. The wood splintering and crashing about onto the floor from the impact of the hit, and her hands begin to bleed from the wood cracking in them, but the devil looks overall fine aside from small scrap on his cheek. This causes Miki to back up a few feet in fear after realizing that these two are monsters in human skin, and winces in pain from her injury before suddenly being grabbed by the throat and thrown against the closet door, earning a cry of pain from Miki and a muffle of fright from Issei. Since it was a mixture of sounds coming at once, however, the devils didn't hear Issei, thankfully. Gra, she shouts out as she falls to the floor in pain. The way she hit the door causes her arm to break at the elbow as tears form in her eyes. Prologue looks down at her with a sickening and disgusting smile as he walks up to her. Now look what you did to my handsome face. That was rather rude of you, you know. Whatever should I do to punish such a naughty and mean-spirited woman? Got any ideas, Rom? I know for a fact you got a sadistic side to you. He teases as he stomps down on Miki's hand as she shouts out in pain. Issei, not being able to take hearing his mom cry out anymore, bursts out of his hiding spot and rushes Romulus and strikes him in the groin with a bat that was hidden in the closet with him, and strikes the devil in the groin, causing him to topple over in pain. It doesn't matter if you're human, devil or even dragon, getting hit in the balls is not a pleasant feeling. Leave my mama alone, you bullies, he shouts out before suddenly getting grabbed by the throat and punched through a wall, leading him into the hallway. He coughs up blood as his leg feels numb. Must have landed on it weird. The devils, specifically Romulus, growl in anger at being struck in the jewels by a child, while Prologue laughs in delight and Miki cries out in horror of what she saw become of her son. Grr. You hapless little shit. How dare you strike me there? That fucking hurt, he shouts, breaking his own way of speaking temporarily in a fit of rage as he walks through what's left of the wall. Prologue looks at this happening in light surprise of him breaking character. Boot decides to go back to torturing Miki. Hey, never thought I'd see that guy break that way of speaking of his. Kid must have hit him pretty hard for him to do that. Can't say I'm complaining though. It's hilarious seeing him like this. Now then. He grows a manic, sadistic smile. Where were we? And no. Get away from me. Issei, run. Get away from here. Mickey shouts in fear and worry as the devil soon grabs hold of her throat and chuckles as he looks her up and down in a malicious and deranged way. Issei, upon hearing this and seeing what the monster is doing to his mother, decides to stand back up, albeit slowly and with clear pain in his expression. Before he can do anything, however, he is kicked down the stairs and a snap can be heard at the bottom. Issei's neck had snapped during the fall, killing him. Issei. Scene break. HRRM. NNMMMMM. Ow, my head. Why does it hurt so much? Issei asks as he floats about in the emptiness of the void, confused and a bit dazzled. After a few moments, he shakes his head. He lands down on the floor of wherever he is exactly. Then begins to look around. Seeing the sky is a bit strange here as there are no light coming from it at all, as well as there being no breeze of any kind. He rubs his neck, expecting it to be sore, and realizes that it doesn't hurt. What's going on? I could have sworn I landed on my neck funny, so why am I not feeling any pain? Weird. Do you seek power? Issei looks around, a bit confused as to where this voice is coming from, nearly falling over in the process of doing so. Hello? Who is there? Can you tell me where I am? Suddenly the area brightens up by countless stars on the sky, letting Issei see his surroundings and notices 3 statues spaced out around him. One of which behold a man holding a sword high into the air in triumph after slaying a fierce monster that was offending and attaching a kingdom. A feeling of strength and unyielding might can be felt from the statue. Do you seek the will to stand as a shield? Another statue depicts a man wearing a heavy crimson-red armor with big pilgrims holding a shield and ready to embrace a strike. A feeling of unending will to defend and become a shield for all who need it comes from this armored statue. Do you seek the knowledge of the arcane? At last a statue of a wizard carrying a long staff with a jewel on top can be seen just behind Issei. The wizard looks to be mid-cast of whatever spell he was going to perform. A feeling of wisdom and arcane might can be felt from this statue. Wow, what is all this? Where am I? This is really weird and I want to go home. Issei shouts out and cries as he runs around frantic, trying to find his way home. This goes on for about 30 to 40 minutes before he collapses to the floor. Only to realize that he has a reflection on the floor. It's almost like a mirror. Only a shadow-like version of him to be staring back with golden eyes. But what catches his attention is what's behind the copy. A statue giant western dragon that stands proud and mighty above all others looks at Issei directly from the other side of the mirror floor. Issei puts his hand on the floor and pushes against it and his hand goes through, and begins to pull him in. He panics at first before falling through and landing on the other side. The statue of the dragon stands before him. Or, do you seek the path to the stars? Issei gulps as he hears the voice, a bit nervous as he slowly walks forward and places his hand on the claw of the dragon. It feels warm, cozy, like his mother tucking him to bed. Wait. Mama. I gotta go help her. He shouts as he realizes what is important right now instead of delving in his own curiosity. The dragon's eyes seem to life in a golden hue as it bends its neck downward and looks directly into the eyes of the boy. He looks scared after seeing the statue move. Only for the voice to be heard one last time. Is this the path you seek? Issei, scared but determined to save his mother, nods. Yes, I want to help Mama. He says with whatever confidence and power he could muster into his voice before the ground started to rumble as suddenly the dark version of Issei starts to crawl out of the mirror-like ground with a murderous look in its glowing golden eyes. It slowly gets to its hands and feet, standing on all fours as it looks menacingly at the boy. It lunges at him with rage in its glare, attacking like a wild animal. Issei, seeing this, dodges at the last second by side-hopping to the right, but not before putting his leg out and tripping the creature up like how Rin's father taught him if he ever needed to defend himself. Sure, his body was small and meek, but he at least knew how to dodge and counter. Doing this, however, pisses off the creature as it hobbles back on all fours and begins chasing the boy around the small enclosed area. Dodging and lightly hitting the monster with all his strength, the boy soon grows desperate in his situation as he looks behind him, seeing the wall of fog holding him inside this place. And realizing he has to fight head-on. As soon as the monster charges at him with its claws out one last time, Issei shouts as he raises his fist in order to punch with all his might. This is the path I seek. Before striking the creature clear in the jaw as a gauntlet appears in his enclosed fist. The creature, however, stumbles back before falling backwards into the water-like floor. Held at bay for now. Suddenly the eyes of the dragon statue shine brightly at the boy. It becomes blinding before everything goes dark. Suddenly, a new voice is heard, a feminine voice. You have awakened the constellation RPG early and successfully defended yourself against your inner pain and madness. 10 to every stat. CH1 of 5 next, Chapter 2, The Hamajimas. AN. YOOO guess who's back, back again. Guess who's back, with a friend. It's me again. Dude, you have no fucking idea how much serotonin I get when I see someone like my story. I literally bounced around and partied a bit in my room when I saw people like what I wrote. I know it's a bit sloppy, but I am getting a beta reader sometime soon. By the way, there will be 10 or so prequel chapters before canon shows up, so expect the length of chapters to explode past what the last one was. Anyway, on with the fucking show. Scene: Hodo household, Gra. Huff HUGF Huff 000WWW. Issei shoots up suddenly in pain and alarm. Looking around to his surroundings to find that he was laying in a pool of blood at the bottom of the stairs of his home. He looks around to find that the blood is coming from his long-dead father. A few hours must have passed since he was knocked out, killed. Papa! Wake up! Mama is in trouble! He shouts out as he rushes over and shakes his cold father Abbott, frantically trying to get him to open his eyes as he cries out in worry and fear. Papa, please! We need to help Mama! He cries out once more, weeping over the corpse of his dead father as the sound of rain can be heard outside. Issei gives up on waking his father and starts to run upstairs. Find it hard to move his body at all, but he makes it work. He finds splinters of wood from the walls and door of his room scattered on the floor as he reaches the top of the stairs and rushes into his room the best he can, not caring if he gets splinters from the wood. Mama? Mama? He looks around in confusion, unable to find his mother anywhere, as he then looks down and sees a crimson and white stain on the ground. His mother was brutally assaulted. Maybe even killed. Oh, where is she now? This is awful, he thought as he fell to his knees, crying out for his parents to save him from this cruel nightmare. To give him a warm hug and tell him everything would be all right in the end. But reality is often disappointing and unfair to even the youngest of the living. Suddenly, however, a ping can be heard. The prerequisites have been met: activating Constellations RPG. Suddenly Issei is hit with a major headache as he clenches onto his head and cries out in pain. It's like someone is taking a searing hot piece of metal and burrowing it into the back of his head. Then after a few minutes of this, a screen pops up in front of him. Gamer status: name Issei Hodo. Race human, age 6. Sex male. Class the Dragon Emperor, LVL1, 0100s. HP 100 STA 68 Mana N, A Aura 50 STR 12 Con 12. Dex 11 ACC 11 AGI 13 Int 11 Arc 11 Cha 12 Skills N, A. Perks: Blessing of the Stars. You have awakened the Constellations RPG by choosing the true path of the dragon and driving back the madness of tonight's events from your mind. This gives you a plus 10 boost to all of your stats, as well as granting you the true form of the Constellations RPG's gauntlet. To access said gauntlet, please focus on your right hand. Dragon's Essence. You have gained access to the perk Dragon's Essence by becoming the host of 2 high-level dragons. This perk will allow you to gain plus 5 points into your STR, Con, and Dex stats for every 2 levels. This ability stacks with every piece of dragon equipment you have equipped. Dragon's Charm. You have gained the perk Dragon's Charm. This perk gives a plus 10 points to your Cha stat for every 5 levels you gain. This perk's ability cannot be stacked. Ow 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 ow. What was that? That really hurt. Issei says through sniffles and tears. It was a pretty nasty headache that the activation gave him. He then looks to his hand curiously and focuses on it. It said I awakened something on my hand? Wonder what it is. Maybe it's something cool, he says as the pain subsides from his head. Suddenly a black and purple open-fingered gauntlet with a star-filled gem in the center of the back of the palm and spikes around it appears on his right hand. This startles the boy as he flails his arm about and tries to get it off. Ah! What is this thing? Get it off! HRRK! He shouts as he tries to pull it off to no avail. Issei, now starting to freak out due to this thing on his arm and the general pressure of dealing with his parents' deaths, has a bit of a mental breakdown and curls up into a ball in the corner, repeating a sentence over and over again for a little while, trying to calm himself down to no avail. He rocks himself back and forth in a ball. This is a dream. This is a dream. This is a dream. Mama will wake up and help me calm down. Papa isn't gone. He's pulling another prank on me. Alright? He says, beginning to doubt himself as he speaks. Oh, this poor child, how cruel the world has been. Now as Issei looks around the room, another screen pops up asking if he wants to go through the tutorial of the sacred gear. Issei, having played some RPGs with Rin, recognizes some of the system settings and deciding against the tutorial. Not the smartest move on his part, but hey, he is 6 and has a really low int. He starts wondering the settings, finding his inventory and stats on his own. Wanting to learn more about this on his own, boot the surrounding blood going to draw too much attention. Decides to pack up as much stuff as he can comfortably carry and set out on a journey. He has to run now. No one would believe him if he said monsters killed his parents. Certainly not him, since he is only 6 years old. Suddenly, once again however, a screen pops up. New quest acquired. Survival of the young dragon. Objective: survive on your own until you reach the age of 17 or until you become strong enough to fend for yourself. Main quest reward 300k express, 20,000 yen, and 3 skill or item books boxes. Additional objective: gain 3 proficiency by your 7th birthday. Additional objective reward 1000 express, 1 Latvian lots in every proficiency skill you own. Additional objective: do not be captured or aligned with any of the factions of the supernatural until you're of age of 17 or strong enough to defend your views and freedom. Additional objective reward 50k express, new title. Whoa. That's a lot of express. But why would it give me so much though? A bit odd. Are things gonna be that scary here on out? He asks as he finishes packing his stuff up, and slings it over his shoulder. He then goes downstairs. Sees his father's long dead corpse, and promptly throws up his dinner. Ew. After a few minutes of being on all fours and throwing up his dinner, he goes into the kitchen fully and grabs whatever food he can find and packs it into his back. It becomes a bit heavy for him, but it's nothing he can't manage. He places his hand on his father's head one last time before heading out into the world via the back door, leaving the only home he has ever known and likely will ever have again. 3 days later, time till 7th birthday, 4 months, downtown Kuo. It's been a few days since the death of his parents. People likely have noticed by now that something has happened to the family due to the silence of the house lately. Issei, sad and missing his parents, really wants to go home and see if what happened was truly real, but something in the back of his mind advised against it. As he walks down the cold streets of Ko, as the skies darken as it begins to rain, he stumbles across a TV that is talking about the death of his family and how he is missing. Tears start to well up in his eyes as he then runs off and begins to cower in an alleyway, clearly upset and distressed that something like this has happened to him. As he sits there, crying as he does so over the confirmed loss of his family, a voice calls out to him. Hello? Are you alright? This causes Issei to jump in alarm as he scoots into the dumper and tries to hide behind his backpack. It sounds like a young girl called out to him, but for right now he's too scared to recognize that fact. The girl however just sits down near him and smiles warmly as a hand is places in his head as she gives him a soft hug. Era, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt a cutie like you. You look like you wouldn't hurt a fly, she says as she holds an umbrella above both of them. Not wanting the boy to get sick, Issei soon calms down and realizes that this is a friend, not some enemy out to get him. He looks up at her and realizes she's a cute girl with black hair. She smiles at him as a name appears above her head. Akeno Hamajima. Age 8 LVL. 5 race human, fallen angel hybrid. This floors Issei as he looks at her with shock and awe of how beautiful she looked in his eyes. He calms down and blushes lightly as he looks to the side. A screen pops up in front of him that Akeno sees. You have unlocked the skill, Scan. 1 Latvian lots per 10. Allows you to scan and see the stats, nature of people and items around you. The level of this skill determines how much information you can see of those you scan. Costs, 1 STA per use. Akeno looks on astonished and curious about this. Woo-ah, what is this? You have some cool power too, huh? She asks with a bit of laughter as she holds out her hand. That's pretty cool. Must be one of those sacred gears Uncle Azazel told me about. Come on, let me take you to my parents. I am sure mother would love to meet you. I'm Akeno Hamajima. It's a pleasure to meet you, she says with a warm smile and closed eyes. She seems genuine as she helps Issei stand up. Issei then blushes as he scratches his cheek before replying to her greeting. I'm Issei. Issei Hodo. It's nice to meet you too, he says in a bit of a stammer, embarrassed that he is being helped by such a pretty girl. Much more to be holding the hand of one too. Suddenly a voice can be heard behind the young lady. Akeno. There you are, darling. Your father and I were worried about you. A woman who looks to be in her early 30s said as she rushed over to Alino with a tall burly man with a flat top hair cut right behind her. He then sees Issei and senses that of a dragon before he gets in front of his wife and daughter, blocking Issei from them. "Who are you, kid? Trying to hurt my daughter under someone's orders?" he barked out before clenching his fists. Luckily, before anything could happen, he smacked on the head by his wife and flinched as he turned to look at her. "Now what do you think you're doing, mister? That's just a child who looks terrified of you. Leave him alone." She berates him with a stern tone. She then goes over to Issei and holds out her hand after bending over a bit. "I'm sorry about my husband, he can be a bit rude sometimes. My name is Shuri Hamajima. It's lovely to meet you. The man who gave you afraid is my husband Barakiel." As Issei introduces himself again to the monarch of the Hamajima household, Akeno tugs on her father's shirt and bounces on the balls of her shoes excitedly. "Daddy, he's like us. He has powers. I think it's one of those sacred gear thingies that Uncle Azazel keeps talking about," she says excitedly as her father turns over to Issei and his wife with a weary look on his face. I don't know about this, Shuri. Something doesn't feel right. Where's your parent son?" This brings Issei down as he looks to the ground with a sniffle and tear to his eye. Shuri, however, recognizes the boy finally after thinking of it for a few moments and whispers into her husband's ear. "This is the Hodo boy who lost his parents to burglars. The police have been looking for him for days." She then gives Issei a warm hug while Barakiel processes and digests the information. "So that means this boy is an orphan. And Akeno seems to like him and she needs friends her age to play with." He then comes to a decision. "Very well. So long as he is not of any threat to us, and what you say is true, I suppose we can look after him. Although we would have to report this to the authorities so they know that he has been found," Barakiel says as he looks down to Akeno, who beams in delight and happiness. "Really? We're bringing him with us? Thank you, Daddy," she shouts in joy as she gives he father's leg a hug. Happy to have the chance to make a new friend, she then runs over to Issei and holds out her hand after her mother Shuri lets go of him. "Come on. You're gonna love our home. Daddy and Uncle Azazel can teach you how to use your power too," she says with excitement, a bit of a playful tone as well, though hoping to not scare off her potential new friend. Issei cowers away from the hand at first, looking down as he does so. "Want I be a bother for you? I don't want to be a burden for such nice people," he says with a shaking tone in his voice as he keeps his eyes focused on the ground beneath him, not wanting the nice family before him to see his sad expression. Akeno, however, notices his downcast face and pulls the boy into a hug and smiles warmly. "It's okay. I won't let you be sad again. We can even be friends and look out for each other," she says with a light laugh as her parents smile proudly at their daughter. Issei smiles at this show of kindness and looks up to the small family, seeing the names of each member as he does so, trying his best not to be obvious about it. Shuri Hamajima, age, 29, LVL, 45, race, human. Barakiel, age, LVL, race, fallen angel. This gave Issei pause as he looked at the missing age and level of the tall flat top-haired man. A bit confused as to why it's like that, then remembering that his scan ability was just acquired. It likely can't sense what someone's stats are if they're too high level. However, he doesn't seem to notice the perplexed looks on both of the Hamajima's faces. This must be the boy's power that Akeno mentioned. It looks like that of a video game to Barakiel, given the only thing he had to base this off of is the games that Azazel made him play together with during his off days before meeting Shuri to keep the man from overworking himself, which he both appreciated and found annoying to an extent of the Mont's antics. He then looks to Issei. "Well, that certainly is an interesting ability you have there. How about we go back home and you can explain to me what it's called and what it does, as well as get you something hot to eat. It's getting colder out and you look like you're starving," he says as he takes the small lad's hand and helps him up, somewhat surprising Issei as he steadies himself before looking at the small family. Tears start to well in his eyes as he then nods, accepting their offer. This puts a smile on the Hamajima family's faces as they begin to lead him out of the alley and towards home. Well, first the police station to report that he was found and to officially adopt him, then go home. Scene break after a few hours of talking to the police explaining what had happened when they found the boy and questioning of said orphan of what transpired with his family. They almost decided to send him to the mental hospital when he started spouting about men busting through the door and punting through the wall with wings sticking out of their back. chalking it up to the boy's overactive imagination as well as the trauma of being attacked by strangers in your own home. Shuri, however, kindly convinces the police to not send the boy to a mental hospital and instead let the boy stay with her family. Barakiel shivers as he remembers the chilling feeling his wife gave off as she spoke to the officers, who in turn seemed rather nervous about receiving the ire of an upset mother. The officers, while questioning the boy, however, found bruises along his body and a scar on the boy's neck. Worried for his health, they opted to take the boy to the hospital to check for any lasting damage for the boy. Considering that the bruises looked pretty severe and quite large, they were honestly surprised that the boy was walking with his injuries. "Huh, tough kid," one of the officers thought, while the other phoned the hospital to expect a small child to be brought up to make sure that there are no serious injuries on him. A few hours later, after being separated from the Hamajima family so the doctors can check on the boy, they realized that the boy suffered from large amount of physical trauma, and noticed that his skull was lightly cracked on the back of his head, as well as, what was the scariest one, the injury on his neck. For a moment the doctors thought that he had broken his neck. Issei, being the good boy he is, told them that he fell down the stairs of his home as his family was attacked. The doctors become worried of this and decide to hold Issei there for a few days to run some tests. 4 days later, Kuo Hospital. HRRRM, it's so boring here. I want to leave. I know, but you have to be patient. Just have to wait till the last test comes in so we can tell if you can leave yet or not. You were in rough shape when we got you. Honestly, we're surprised that you were able to move. Injuries like that would hinder a full adult. I'd be terrified as to what they would do to a small child like yourself. The nurse says as she keeps an eye on the boy, knowing how rambunctious he can be since he had first gotten here. The boy in question, however, had only been here 4 days and already wants to leave and get out of here to play with Akeno some more. The Hamajima family would stop by every day to make sure everything was alright, and so their daughter Akeno, who is starting to honestly like the boy and see him as a potential crush from his attitude towards her, seeing her as a normal girl, which brings a smile to her face. Issei, on the other hand, finds her cute but sees her like a friend for the time being. Since they just met, that doesn't stop Akeno's mother Shuri from teasing the two with how cute they are. Barakiel, however, wants to train the boy and expresses that to Issei, who accepted and wanted to get started as soon as possible. Speaking of said family. Knock knock. Hello. Is Issei available for visitors at the moment? Issei. Suddenly Akeno and her mother Shuri enter with Barakiel leaning against the doorframe. He smiles at the boy, growing a bit of a soft spot for him as Akeno hugs him. Issei laughs. Haha, heya Akeno. You guys are here early. What, did something happen today? Issei asks as he looks over to Shuri while hugging Akeno. Shuri giggles. Well Issei, we have a bit of a surprise for you actually. Something we know for sure you'll love. She says with a warm and happy smile as she hands Issei a piece of paper which somewhat confuses him. He looks at it for a second, trying to read it, but it has big words on it. Sekai child. Custody. What does that mean? He asks as Shuri giggles at the boy doing his best to read. Which she's impressed by since he's only 6 years old. It means we got custody of you Issei. You get to live with us from now on. Isn't that wonderful? This causes Issei to smile widely with a happy expression on his face. He laughs and goes to get up, but the nurse stops him, fearing he may hurt himself, which causes him to pout in annoyance. HRRM. Hee, that's great. That means I get to play with Akeno more, he says, causing Akeno herself to blush in embarrassment and slight joy that he wants to spend time with her. HMPH, don't think it will be all sunshine and rainbows, son. You said you wanted to get stronger and I fully intend on following through with the agreement we made. Barakiel says with a firm tone and a slight grin on his face, which causes the boy to shiver at first. But upon seeing Akeno give a pouty look to her father, he clenches his fist and nods in determination. Alright, I won't let you down, he says with a fire lit in his eye. After a few minutes pass, the doctor enters the room with a notepad and a folder of medical files in his hand. She smiles as she sees the boy is up and conversing with visitors. She then steps into the room. Hello Mr. Hodo. How are we feeling today? I just got your files ready, so if you're all set I can tell you how your stats shape out, she says with a warm smile on her face as she passes Barakiel and Shuri, standing at the end of Issei's bed. Issei, upon seeing the beautiful nurse, nods and smiles back at her. Yeah. Am I able to leave? It's so boring staying in this bed all day, he says with gets the adults in the room to chuckle at his antics. The doctor then clears her throat. Well, you had a pretty nasty crack going down the front of your skull, but it seems to be healing nicely along with your bruises. We are still worried and honestly amazed that your neck has no injury at all on it despite the scarring. It's not a birthmark cause it would have said something about it in your medical records, but the fact you don't have any real injury on your neck just makes us believe it's an old wound despite you saying you got it from the attack on your home. So we decided to let you go home, but you're gonna be asked to come check in from time to time to make sure your skull heals up nicely as well as no problems show up on your neck," she says in a professional tone, but with a hint of joy at seeing the boy smile wider and wider at hearing that he gets to go home with the Hamajima family. Akeno hugs Issei again. "You hear that, eyes? You get to come home with us today. Wanna play when we get home?" she says with a cute and happy smile on her face. She seems glad and happy that her first ever friend will be finally staying with them and getting out of the hospital. Issei, for his part, blushes lightly and scratches his cheek and smiles back at the young girl before nodding. "Why yeah. Sure, I'd love that, Akeno," he says with a bit of excitement in his voice. "Oofufufufufufufufu, seems like our daughter has gotten herself a crush, doesn't she, Barakiel?" Shuri teases with a light laugh and a playful wink to her daughter as she leans against her husband. Barakiel laughs and shakes his head as Akeno's face blushes and pouts as she turns her head to her mom in embarrassment. "Ooh, mama. Leave me alone. Why do you always joke about this?" she cries out in embarrassment as her mother laughs further. Issei just smiles and shakes his head in amusement at the scene before him as he finally gets to relax for a moment. Scene break. Hamajima Shrine, household. A few hours passed away in a blink of an eye as the family is walking up the many stairs to the shrine. Issei, being lightly winded with how many there are, seems like his young body is going to need a lot of training if he wants to achieve his goal. Barakiel even notes this in his mind as he walks up the steps while Akeno dances around the boy that she's grown fond of. After about a minute or so, they reach the top of the stairway and reveal a beautiful, well-kept shrine in front of them. Issei is blown away at the beauty of this sight and gapes a bit. "Whoa, your home is beautiful. Do I really get to live here as well?" he asks as Akeno then holds his hand and teases the boy lightly. "Ooh, is little Issei happy to be living with us?" she says as she then boops his nose, causing Issei to blush and Shuri to giggle a bit. Shuri speaks up. "Oh come now, Akeno, you and I both know you're over the moon about him being able to stay here," she says in a teasing manner as she walk forward. Barakiel on the other hand ruffles Issei's hair and stands in front of him. "Alright, young man, you wanted me to train you, and that's what I intend to do. But since you just got out of the hospital, your training will start tomorrow morning. For now, play with Akeno and have some fun with your freedom. Your training won't be easy after all," he says as he folds his arms with a feeling of power coming off of him. Issei then bows at the hip, remembering his manners that his mother taught him. "Thank you very much, Mr. Barakiel," he says, after slipping on the fallen angel's name, which causes the cadre to chuckle. "It's alright boy, you're getting the hand of saying it. It's not a Japanese name, so it's understandable that you would have a hard time saying it," he says as he goes off towards the house where his wife is, leaving Akeno and Issei alone with one another. Akeno then looks over to Issei and smiles. "So wanna play tag, Issei? I best warn you, I'm pretty fast," she says with a giggle as Issei nods and stretches his legs a bit. "Sure, I'd love to play. Me and Rin played tag all the time. I always caught up with him," he says as he suddenly boops her nose and laughs before running off. "You're it," causing Akeno to blink a moment before giving chase. Scene break. The next day. "Come on, Issei. Show me what you got," Barakiel shouted as Issei clenched his fist, getting ready to go. Suddenly the constellation's RPG appears while it shouts 3 words, signifying its activation. "Let's level up." Barakiel looks puzzled at this as the gear manifests on Issei's arm, slightly weighing it down due to its weight. He gets a closer look at it and inspects it. "Interesting, not in sacred gear I've ever seen before. How odd. Doubt even Azazel has any records of it in his lab. He's gonna have a field day when he visits. Tell me son, what does this gear do?" Issei shrugs as he looks at the gear. Suddenly a screen appears in front of both the boy and Kadri with the words, "Start tutorial." YN on the screen. The two males look at each other for a moment before Barakiel nudges the boy to press the Y button, which he does so. Systems booting. Activation of the tutorial quest has been acknowledged. Welcome. This is the tutorial of the Constellations RPG that was created by the Dragon God of the Stars. This gear's singular purpose is to ensure the safety and victory against any for the gear's wielder by offering quests and skills to the player that he may come across or earn. What the player is currently looking at, aside from the tutorial screen, is the main hub that will be with him for the rest of his life. On the bottom right corner is your health bar and icon, as well as a stamina bar and your aura bar. Because this is a dragon-type sacred gear with a being sealed inside it, you will not be getting any sort of mana or magic, instead you will be relying on the aura you accumulate throughout your journey. Interesting, so it's a dragon type, never heard of this before, or of this dragon god of the stars. How interesting. I should call Azazel once this is over. Barakiel says as he scratches his chin in thought as Issei looks on in wonder and amazement over all of this. The explanation continues. To level up you must gain express through completing quests or killing monsters, enemies. Although since you are so young and unlocked this power early, you will hit a level cap of 20. If you wish to exceed this level cap you must either grow older or find the necessary items required for what is known as a gear ascension, which will push the gear into going into its next evolutionary state. Currently, while this is the true form of the Constellations RPG, this is also its first user. So it has infinite possibilities as to what its stages are or what its balance breaker is. Please access the gear tree for more details. Issei, being the good boy he is, follows the instructions and presses the icon for the gear tree, which opens up, shows a large seed on the ground, waiting to be planted. Barakiel and the boy look at each other in slight confusion before another text bubble appears before them. Do not worry, what you see before you is the seed for the gear tree. As you grow stronger and unlock tiers in the tree, the more that will be unlocked and available for purchase with the use of skill points. There are two ways to earn skill points. By either raising your level by increments of 5, or by maxing out a skill or proficiency skill that you have. You currently have no skills to speak of or any skill points. So all you can do at the moment is plant the seed and wait. Please plant the seed and grow stronger before coming back to this menu. Issei nods and lightly presses the button, having a somewhat understanding of what's going on, but not grasping all of it due to his young mind not being fully developed yet. Barakiel on the other hand understands completely. Well, as completely as a man who doesn't understand video games can anyway, but he seems to get the gist of it. For every 5 levels you gain, you will get 3 skill points. The number varies on how many points you will get for maxing out a skill, depending on how hard it is to do so. But for now, please take yourself to the title menu so we may go over what titles are and what they do. Issei does so after the small info dump and presses the title icon, curious as to what it does. Suddenly it fades to black, then reopens as the title menu. It shows a few small tabs and empty boxes where titles can go, one of which is already filled, to which both males say in a questioning tone, "The Dragon Emperor?" This is the title menu. Here you will find various titles throughout your journey will be placed here with different effects. Currently, you have the default title of The Dragon Emperor. Due to you having 2 dragons sealed within you, currently, both are sleeping, so the effects of this title will remain inactive until both dragons are awakened. Title: The Dragon Emperor. Status: Locked, Inactive. You are the Dragon Emperor of high-level dragons. This title grants a 20 stat increase to your STR, AGI, Con, Dex, and Aura. But only when this title is actively being used. Since both dragons are asleep at this point in time, this bonus will not be active till further notice. That's not fair. How am I supposed to wake up a dragon? Issei cries out in annoyance and finds this to be utter bull. Why must this be so unfair? Barakiel on the other hand places his palm on the boy's head and ruffles his hair. Relax, Issei. There are many ways to awaken a dragon in a sacred gear, but how odd that it says you have 2 sealed in you. Perhaps you have more than 1 gear locked within you. Anyway, you just need to get stronger. Nothing to it, he says with a reassuring tone as he smiles at the boy, finding him to be more surprising with each new thing that pops up about him. Next would normally be the shop, but since you have awakened the Constellations RPG early, you will be locked out of this function till you're older and can be more responsible with funds you may find while out in quests or dungeons. Worry not, however, you will get a slight interest each week that will increase as you get more funds. I'm not allowed to spend money either. What if something really useful shows up and I can't get it? So unfair. Issei cries once again as Barakiel chuckles at the boy's misfortune. But it may be a blessing in disguise in his own mind. He could build up a lot of money from now and when the store opens for him, so he could afford a lot of products if he's careful and smart. Before he could voice his opinion, one last text appears. And lastly we have the synthesis menu where you can build your own weapons and upgrade equipment whenever you please. Of course creating and upgrading cost both items and money, but still, a worthwhile thing to have for the foreseeable future. For now, you have been given the items needed to make a dagger, which for you would be the length of your arm. Therefore it will classify under the one-handed sword proficiency skill. Please craft the iron dagger. Issei turns to Barakiel who just shrugs as if to say go for it and opens the menu to craft items, and after a few seconds of crafting cooldown the iron dagger was forged and appears on the belt line of Issei's pants. Oh, well that's handy, he says as he draws the dagger, only for Barakiel to take it. Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to let a child have a dagger. We will start with hand-to-hand combat first. This causes Issei to pout and stamp his foot a bit like a child who just got his toy taken away, but sighs and relents to the wishes of the fallen angel. Looking back at his active gear and looking at his status menu, seeing that it also has an equipment bar on it as well, he sees the CRPG on his right arm slot. Its stats are as such. Gauntlet of the Constellations RPG 8 10 def, 90. Wow, this thing is sturdy. AGI. -5, until you grow stronger, 5 Latvian laches. Huh, that's not bad actually. I don't like how it weighs me down though. Maybe I should treat it like a training weight? So I can gain stats faster? He asks as he looks over to Barakiel who nods, thinking it's a good idea. For coming up with a good training method, you were awarded 1 int. Congratulations for completing the tutorial for the CRPG menu. You were awarded with 100 Y and 200 Express. You have leveled up 1 Latvian Lots 2 Latvian Laches gauge to next LVL, 100 to 500. All stats gain 1 point. Huh, so I leveled up. Neat. Issei says as he puts away his gauntlet and sees Barakiel staring at him. What? The man just looks at him for a moment before noting that the boy feels stronger to him. How curious. Guess we will get a direct guide to how far along in his training he is with this gear. How useful. Nothing, just thinking on how best to train you. Speaking of, how about we begin now that we got that tutorial finished? I want to make you strong as soon as possible. This gets Issei excited and summons his gauntlet again before the training begins. Alrighty, show me whatcha got, Mr. Barakiel. Let's level up. 3 hours later. Huff, hack, hew, huff, huff, huff. No, you did it all wrong again. You have to be careful and time your attacks. Here lies Issei Hodo, laying on the ground with bruises and light scraps on his face, with his body screaming at him to stop training for now as Barakiel stands over him with his arms crossed in a slightly disappointed manner. Boot, this is to be expected from a 6-year-old human. So he decides to call it. Very well. We will stop here for now since you seem so battered and exhausted. Hey, I told you this would be hell, didn't I? He says with a chuckle as a screen appears in front of the boy's face. You have finished your daily training quest with the fallen angel Kadri Barakiel. Your STR, Con, and AGI go up by 2. Your HP is low. Please rest or find a method of healing yourself before going into any more combat. HP. 3130ths. Perhaps I may have pushed you too hard if your health is that low. We've been training for a few hours, and you seem to have gained some power from it if what your gear says is true. Not as much was gained as I'd like, but still it's something. You are only a child, so it's no surprise that you won't gain much in power, since if it gets too strong it could tear you apart. He says as he helps up Issei and carries him over to a bench near the entrance of the shrine itself and opens a bottle of water to wash whatever spit or blood that's in the child's mouth. After a few moments the boy speaks. Ow, I hurt all over. Did you really have to hit me so hard, Mr. Barakiel? I'm just a kid. I know I said I want to get stronger, but still, isn't this a bit much? He asks as he rubs the currently bruising spots on his arms and cheek while he sits down on the bench. Clearly still winded from the harsh training the boy went through. So this is what it's like training with a fallen angel Kadri. Issei didn't fully understand the whole supernatural thing and fallen angels. But he did understand that the man that was training him was a leader-class fallen angel, which made him super strong, which the boy found to be awesome. Suddenly a gasp can be heard down the side of the walkway at the doorway of the shrine. Standing there with her mouth gasp and hung open in shock was Akeno as she soon rushed over to Issei and cradled his face in her hands to inspect his injuries. Seeing the extent of the damage and hearing the slight pangs of pain coming out of Issei's mouth, Akeno gives her father a nasty look in anger as she stands up and stomps over to him. Daddy, I thought we agreed not to push him too far. His body isn't like ours, you could really hurt him. She growled and partially shouted. Barakiel had never seen this side of his daughter before and was relatively surprised by it. He stammered to speak for a few moments before catching his words. Although before he could get a single word out, Issei comes to his rescue. "Akeno, it's all right. I agreed to the training and knew it was gonna be hard. This is just part of the process. I'm gonna get hurt one way or another from what your dad told me since I have this thing." He shows his CRPG gauntlet and shrugs as he then winces in pain from the sudden movement. I need to do this if I want to be able to protect my friends or you guys, or even take down the guys that took my family from me. Trust me, Akeno, I need to do this." He places a hand on Akeno's and smiles, making the young girl blush in surprise. She falters in her stance a moment before sighing. "Oh my. Seems like I can't say no to you when you're looking like that, Issei." She thinks as she holds the boy's hand in return and smiles. "All right, I'll trust you, Issei. But promise you'll take a break from time to time? I don't want to see you all banged up all the time." She then turns to her father and with a stern tone speaks. "And you need to not push him so hard, he looks really hurt. What if you accidentally break something?" Barakiel sighs and looks at his daughter and smiles a bit. "Oh my dear Akeno, you're becoming more and more like your mother by the day. Just don't grow up too fast on us now, all right?" He then speaks. "Very well, sweetie, I know I need to be careful with him, he is only human after all," he says as he kneels and gives her a soft hug before looking at the two. "Now then, I'm sure your mother must have lunch ready. How about you two go get cleaned up before we all go to eat?" The two smile and Issei jumps up. "Yay, food. Ow," before subsequently switching heavily in pain and grabs hold of multiple spots on his body and rubs the sore spots. With Akeno's help, they make their way inside. Scene break. 4.5 months later. Azazel's arrival. It's been about 4.5 months since Issei started his training. To make sure that he doesn't overwork himself, Barakiel decided to push the days he trains to once a week. This however didn't stop Issei from trying to do normal workouts like push-ups or sit-ups. He just couldn't do that much from how sore he was. On the day he was supposed to train with Barakiel, however, they got an unexpected visitor. "That's the way, Issei. Move your shoulders as you punch to put your weight behind the strike yet keeping your balance." Ha! Here we find Issei training with Barakiel while Akeno and Shuri watched. In the few months the boy had trained, his stats rose up rather nicely. 2 Latvian laches, 223 500s, HP, 220 STA, 170 aura, 120 STR, 20 Con, 22 Dex, 19 ACC, 17 AGI, 23 Int, 18 Arc, 19. While the boy trained and grew stronger, he began to notice that he hasn't leveled up a single time. While he does gain express for training, it's not much. Barakiel thinks it's due to him still being a child and whatnot. But that's besides the point. Earning stat points are getting harder as well. Almost as if there's an upper limit one can go to before getting stat locked for a while at a certain level. This bothered Issei to know that he won't be able to get stronger due to him being both low-leveled and because he is a child. An understandable reason to be upset, but still, that didn't stop someone from visiting mid-training, surprising everyone present with their appearance. "Heya Barakiel, Akeno, Shuri. How you guys been since the last time I visited?" The tall man with a single blonde bang said, somewhat annoying Issei that he ignored him, but there seems to be someone behind the man, a small boy with silver hair. He seems a bit skittish for now, must not like being around new people. "Ah, it's just you, Azazel. We're doing quite well, thank you. What brings you on this visit? You're rather early this go around. I wasn't expecting you for another month." Barakiel says as he powers down and signals to Issei to do the same, and he releases his sacred gear from his arm. Issei, confused as to who this man is, walks up to him. "Hiya. I'm Issei Hodo. It's nice to meet you, mister," he says with a light bow, trying his best to keep his manners that his mom and Shuri built into him. Getting the older man's attention was a mistake, however, as he starts to circle around Issei as if inspecting him for irregularities and such. He pushes a nerve on the palm of Issei's right hand and chuckles in glee and enjoyment after seeing the new sacred gear. Whistle. "Oh, you know me. I like to keep people on their toes, but man, you weren't kidding, Barakiel. I've never seen this one before. Say kid, what's this one called?" he asks in a bit of a hurried tone with a gleam in his eyes. Guess this guy is all about sacred gears. This is only cemented as true with Shuri speaking up. Era. You certainly haven't changed since your last visit, Lord Azazel. Hope you've been behaving since our last talk," she says, causing a shiver to go down Azazel's spine in a bit of fear as he slowly backs away from the child. "All right. How could I forget our talk from way back when? Good to see you're still in good spirits, Shuri. He says with a warm, slightly fear-ridden smile. UFU. I'm doing magically, Azazel. How are you and that little boy you found doing? Valley was his name. Shuri smiles and asks as she tilts her head to the side to see Valley hiding behind him. Seeing how bashful the boy is, the mother smiles and offers out her hand. Hello there, young one, I'm Shuri Hamajima. I hope Azazel has been treating you well? She asks as Valley takes her hand, lightly blushing as he does so in slight embarrassment, but happy to meet a friendly face. Hello. I'm Valley. Nice to meet you too, Mrs. Hamajima. Your home is very nice. He says as he looks over and sees Issei and Akeno talking with each other, both obviously curious about the boy, which makes Valley nervous. His eyes linger on Akeno for a moment or two, a blush forming as he does so before hiding his face and scurrying back to Azazel. Akeno along with Issei, however, walk up to Valley as he cowers behind his adopted uncle. Valley, huh? I'm Akeno. It's nice to meet you. This is Issei, he's a close friend of mine. She says as she gestures to Issei, who waves his hand and gives a light, yo, before walking up to the two kids and smiling. Something tells me the weird man wants to look at my gear for a bit, but after that's all done, maybe you wanna play tag with us? Or hide and seek? Issei suggests, which Valley slightly perks up to, seeing the two as nice people. I'd like that. Issei nods and gives a warm smile before walking over to the adults and looking at the weird cadre apparently named Azazel, and promptly speaks. So when do we start on this test thingy? I hope it won't take very long. He says as he hops about and around and bounces up the stairs of the shrine, ready to get this over with as he takes his shoes off as to not dirty the floor like his mother had taught him. Hee. Guess he's eager to get started. Who am I to keep the kid waiting? If you'll excuse me, Shuri, mind watching the kids while me and Barakiel do this test? I'm sure he wants answers to this strange gear as much as I do. He asks as he begins to walk up the stairs, taking his shoes off as he does so, and turns back to the other two adults, expecting an answer and for his colleague to join him. 2 hours later. Finally. Freedom. Issei shouts out and rushes out of the shrine, forgetting his shoes in the process as he darts down the shrine steps and nearly tackles Akeno and Valley, who are sitting down at the well of the shrine. Akeno lightly teasing Valley from what it looks like as the boy's face is flush with a bit of embarrassment. Hey, watch it, eyes. You nearly ran into us. Akeno pinches his cheek and pouts lightly as Issei whines and tries to speak. Ow. Aki, stop it. That hurts. He cries out as comical tears run down his cheeks. This however causes Valley to laugh for the first time since he got here, which causes Akeno and Issei to smile, after the girl lets go of his cheek anyway. With that out of the way and after a few minutes of combined laughter from the children enjoying this little moment, Issei finally stands back up and smiles brightly. Anyway, shall we get started with that game of tag? No flying now since I can do that, me and Valley don't have wings, Akeno. He says, which causes Akeno to pout. But Valley looks a bit confused as he raises his hand. But I do have wings. They're part of my sacred gear. Wait, you have a sacred gear too? Well, what's yours then? Issei asks in surprise and awe at the boy as he rubs his arms a bit nervously. I don't know, Issei. Mine is kinda large and bulky even for my tastes. Suddenly a pair of armored wings with blue membrane appear on Valley's back. And a voice comes out of it. Come now, young Valley, that's very rude. This gear is my prison after all. I'd like for you not to disrespect my home. Suddenly both Issei and Akeno's eyes shine in admiration of the wings. Hooah. Scene break. Inside the Hamajima shrine. So, what do you think of him, Azazel? He's a very interesting kid, and believe it or not, but I sense a second gear within him. But it's as if his constellation's RPG is preventing it from awakening for some reason, said Azazel to Barakiel as he drank some tea that was prepared by Shuri, the woman in question finding this rather fascinating. Really, a second gear? Isn't that extremely rare to happen? She asked as she sat next to her loving husband before looking out the window, seeing the three kids playing and having fun, wondering more and more about the boy they had brought into their home. Yes, and from the feel of it, it's a dragon type. You got one lucky find there, Barakiel. A dual dragon user. Never thought I'd see the day when one of those would show up. Even if it's just in twice critical, it will be extremely impressive. I can't wait to see what it is when he awakens it. Azazel says with an excited tone in his voice. Barakiel raises an eyebrow at this, noticing something. You don't want him on the side of the fallen? He could be a great boon for us to have on our side as well as be a great friend for those who have sacred gears as well. He's quite lonely here even with my family supporting him." Azazel pauses at this and scratches his head a bit. You're not wrong there, Barakiel. Boot on the chance that he holds that gear. I'd rather not keep him close to Valley. Don't want those dragons convincing the boys to duke it out even if they're friends. Know what I mean? The younger Fallen sighed and scratched his head before speaking. Yes, I do. I just hope that whatever he grows up to be he will remain the boy he is now. He's a good kid. Don't want him to lose sight of himself. He says as Issei sneezes and rubs his nose before getting tackled by Akeno. Both laughing as Valley catches up to the two with a smile on his face. Endin. Boom, that's how ya do it. And hopefully with much better quality than the last chapter. Please be sure to leave a review of what you think. I wanna improve and get better at this stuff. UHYUCK later motherfuckers. Previous CH2 of 5 next.